About spitballs.
So my job is to buy all their yeah, well, I mean, a decent amount of them are from New York, but pretty half of them are really top. So they don't, they come to energy and they fly. So they don't take any pressure.
My club,
Just
the one at,
right, right. So we pay,
so you're just being held in by this, and then they take you and you sit down by this.
sounds scary.
Okay, I call to order the regular meeting on Monday, February 28th. I ask that all who have not signed in, please do so. Please turn off cell phones and other electronic devices. Please conduct any private conversations in the hallway or outside. Emergency exits can be found to your right and to your left. In addition, please note this meeting is also being live streamed via YouTube with text commenting available to the public. So at this time, if you please stand and join us in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time I wish to declare Councilman Kohovic necessarily absent, and I do know that Councilman Guinan is en route. If he doesn't show, I will declare him necessarily absent as well. Again, an announcement, our March 14th Town Board meeting. Usually we we meet in person twice a month. This will be a pay bills only. We have a number of board members out of town or at conferences, so unavailable to have the ability to have an in-person meeting with everyone. So we will be doing a Zoom meeting at 8:30 a.m. Just the intent, again, to pay bills and keep this cycle going. We have 7 employees celebrating birthdays in the month of March, starting on the 6th. Wilma Townsend, Dave Krenzer on the 11th, Victor Gaspar on the 16th, Kerry Miller on the 17th, Michael Van Aken on the 18th, Babette Huber on the 22nd, and Rick McGrain on the 29th. In addition, a couple highlights. We can look forward to daylight savings beginning, and then the following week, hopefully spring will join us. In addition, in the back table, there are COVID tests for you. Unfortunately, I wish I had them back in December when the demand was so high for them. Like everyone else, we couldn't find them, government couldn't find them, but Ontario County went out, and I know they purchased some, and then in addition, recently the federal government and state government has also sent us test kits. So we are going to find some other areas, which we did the same thing. We had KN95 masks that we were able to get a hold of. We did distribute them to all of our faith communities, fire departments, ambulance corps, libraries, et cetera, and we'll do the same thing with these test kits. But please help yourself to some test kits. Just two things. Number one, they don't last forever, and that's what worries me about these. These expire actually July 22nd of this year. And the final item, please don't leave them in your car. They don't work well in the cold. You'll probably get all sorts of different results that you don't want to see. So that's it on the test kits. Again, on the back table, feel free to help yourself. Moving forward, approval of meeting minutes, approval of the regular town board meeting minutes of February 14th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And at this time, we'll ask our town clerk to please introduce the payment of bills. She has two manifests she's going to introduce tonight, board members, and I would recommend we take them both together. It would be manifest 4A and 4B.
Manifest 4A in the amount of $4,800.26 and manifest 4B in the amount of $229,968 has been reviewed by the Victor Town Board with the following accounts charged: general townwide, general outside village, highway townwide, the lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Coyle Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lay, and Legacy at the Fairways, S&S Consolidated Sewer Fund, and Trust and Agency.
Thank you, Karen. And again, why don't we'll go with 4A. We have one expenditure on there, the March dental payment from Guardian Life Insurance. Any questions, board members? Motion to approve the payment
So moved.
thereof.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next, and starting with American Rock Salt, payment for road salt. Next is the payment to Bluestone Creek Development, March rents for the recreation facility. Payment to Labella Associates for professional services for the month of January. There are $10,000 worth of chargebacks to developers. Next is payment to MVP Healthcare Insurance for the employees and the retirees. Payment to NOCO Energy for diesel fuel, and then payment to RG&E for the February gas and electric. Total of the above-mentioned expenditures is $190,269.79. Total town expenditures minus the previous mentioned expenditures equals $39,698.21. Board members, any questions on abstract 4B? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Okay, privilege of the floor. We have no privilege of the floor. We do moving to public comments and concerns, and I just want to make a couple points prior to comments. Again, each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to speak, so we ask that you certainly make your points. Also, many times when we have difference of opinion, when we have public comment period, we always ask that certainly we be respectful and mindful of everyone's thoughts as they come forward. You may agree or may disagree, but we'd ask that you be respectful of one another, as this board will be respectful of your comments as well. In addition, if there's any written materials you'd like to provide the clerk, please feel free to provide that to the town clerk prior to you sitting down. Again, you come to the podium, you state your name, your address, and so at this time, we'll entertain public comments and concerns.
Hello, Randy Shea, 50 West Main Street, Victor, New York. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak tonight. I have 30 minutes. I'm going to try to condense to 3, so I hope I do a good job here. I'd like to talk about the library and some stuff that I found that they provide to children that I don't think they should. This may be a personal opinion, but I actually believe the law is on my side to some extent. Sexually explicit material is available, I can say that 100% for sure, through the library system here at Victor Farmington Library. I don't want this to be about like hating the library. So in an online chat, there was a lady that my wife and I totally agree with about the library. We are grateful, or she said, I am grateful we have a library and a library system that provides a wide range of topics for us and our children that prove to be both mirrors and windows for us to better understand ourselves and the perspectives of others. That was Jennifer Check, former elementary school principal, or VCS. I wholeheartedly agree with that, but I don't think that sexually explicit stuff should be available, at least not without parental consent. There's lots of examples legally that would go along with this. For instance, going to the movie theater. If you're going to go into a rated R movie now, you can't go into a rated R unless you're at least 17. As of right now, I spoke to Tim Niver. They have no restraints whatsoever. Anybody 5 and up can have a library card, and anybody can rent out movies that are rated R. If you look into your envelope, you're going to see some verbiage that the FCC would not allow. You wouldn't get it reported on the news. You could not read these things that are in children's books, okay? So there's some stuff that I hope you guys will look into that, you know, a little bit is a lot in my opinion, especially once you read that. But, you know, if we're going to be expanding the library and expanding like the cultural aspect of it, I've seen in some areas of the country where they have drag queens come in and they have story hour, and some of the stuff, if you look at the YouTube videos, you're like, whoa, what are they doing? But let's just say that maybe you guys don't know anything about this, but it's happening. So Tim Niver said that it was at the discretion of the board, or anything goes. He would be open to a drag queen story hour. Maybe it would be okay, but is it beneficial? Well, that's up to the board. And the board there is not elected by the taxpayers. They vote themselves back in over and over again. It's not something that we really have involvement in terms of who we decide to have serve us. We can nominate somebody, but it's basically internal. The other part is, and I'm running out of time, I'm sure, but you guys got my phone number. I don't know how much time do I have left. Somebody could make a motion to give me more time. I know that. And it could be seconded.
I'll be letting you know. 30 seconds, sir.
Okay. Well, then, yeah. So I don't think I've got anywhere close to what I wanted to. But should there be age restrictions on books, movies, pamphlets, magazines? I can tell you that supposedly an adult bookstore, which is like 5%, I know 100% sure that there is some percent of sexually explicit material in the library. But a adult bookstore cannot be located within a certain distance of a school. So this does relate to town matters in terms of the laws and the different things and what we have as a community. And, you know, the library expanding, it's just another reason right now I think that people should be aware and also consider these things. I've got more stuff. You can give me a call. Maybe I'll come back again if you actually give me privilege of the floor in more than 3 minutes.
And I think you are aware, or the public, if not, the public should be aware as well, that the town government at one point used to fund Farmington Victor Library, and they are their own taxing jurisdiction now, so we do not provide them with one dime. Like all of you here, this board's is no difference. You know, we vote for those budgets just like you do as well. So
Do you know when they have their meetings, Jack? The library?
I do
Their
not.
monthly meetings?
I do not. No, I think that's about it, and I guess, well, Mr. Shea was in a hurry to leave evidently, but the only thing I would say is the library does fall within the town of Victor. It is more actually under the, from location in the village government, as far as the point that Mr. Shea made in regarding the zoning. But usually we've always been very respectful of other governments, allowing them to govern and vice versa. And I know no one in the library has ever called the highway superintendent and told him what roads to plow. So at this point, I'll let the library continue to do what they do best. So, thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Keith Shields, and I live at 127 East Main Street in the village of Victor, and I play pickleball at the Fishers Park courts. I'm 74 years old and a senior citizen and proud of it. My background is in physical education and recreation. I taught and coached at Victor Central School for 34 years. During the summer and school year, I also worked for the Town of Victor Recreation Department, running their summer swim program and morning fitness swim programs for 29 years. I retired from teaching and coaching in 2007, started playing some golf shortly after I retired, and then I discovered pickleball about 5 years ago, started playing, and I loved it. As a young man, I played badminton and tennis, but as the years went by, I got away from it, and I started having health issues with my back, knees, and Achilles tendon, and I put on some weight. Started playing pickleball, and I've lost 30 pounds. So that is one of the benefits that I found from it. When I found pickleball, it was a godsend. It was a smaller court and allowed me to be physically active again. I started playing at the recreation department at Lehigh Crossing with 8 to 12 people. That was our core group. Then we went to Pinnacle because the floor at the Lehigh Crossing had some glued down spots, and we had some real bad bounces that came out with it. So we went over to Pinnacle and we're playing there. Then COVID-19 happened, and forcing us outdoors, and Jerry Collier happened. He had played some pickleball down south, and he told me that he and Chauncey Young had received permission to paint pickleball lines on the seldom-used tennis courts at Fishers Park. We started with 2, and as our numbers increased, we added another 2 perpendicular to the 2 on the tennis court. We also used portable nets there. It was a wonderful sight as it was surrounded on 3 sides by a natural windbreak, which was ideal for lightweight pickleballs, whose flight is adversely affected by the wind. Jerry took the courts under his wing and cleaned them, weeded them, picked up trash, filled in cracks with mortar, repaired latches and sagging fences, and squeegeed the puddles when they appeared after a rainstorm to keep the algae from getting too bad and making it slippery there. Despite Jerry's tender, loving care, there were cracks, dips, and low parts on the courts that needed to be resurfaced. Jerry, working with Brian Emelson, worked out a plan to replace one of the seldom-used tennis courts with 4 permanent, dedicated pickleball courts where the nets stay up. This was done because of his love of the game and for the love of the people who he played with. It wasn't selfish or self-serving that he did this. It was because there was a genuine interest in the community and in the greater Rochester area. I speak to that because we started out with 12, and I now have 347 people that have either played with us or are interested in playing with us. We also, those people that come to play, they're not derelicts who come to parties, smoke, drink alcohol, or raise hell. They are here playing a game they genuinely love to play. They laugh, they cheer a good shot or a nice try. They make friends, they get exercise, and they make memories. We understand that there is noise associated with the sport, but to say to us, not in our backyard, go away, or we will sue you or put injunctions on you, without compromise on both parts is wrong. We have 25 married couples who play with us, 25 married couples. We have several in our group who are in their 80s, with our oldest being 87. We have Empire State Game, Senior Game winners, Pickle Fest champions and medal winners, and we have beginners who have become all they can be by playing with the greatest group of people I have ever been associated with. Is there a middle road that we can all go down with this courts at Fishers? And by the way, I have nothing but respect for Larry and Carol Fisher. I coached their kids. They were on my swim teams. They were the greatest students I've ever had. So, it's tough for me because I know they live right next door, and it's tough. And I've been watching comments, and this is the first time that we've commented at this meeting. So I just wanted to let you know that we are a community of pickleball players. We are senior citizens. And I know that it was the town board's idea that we needed to do more for the senior citizens in our community. And you did. You provided us with a great facility, and we would like to have some compromise in regards to that facility so that everybody goes away at least somewhat happy. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate the middle ground. So before we proceed with any other speakers, I just, I want to make a few comments, and I think, Keith, you're absolutely right. We have made a commitment to our senior population. We hope to continue to do that, especially because I know I'm in that age bracket right now. I'm not so sure my wife would ever join me at pickleball as well. So I do appreciate the fact you must have a marriage counselor on staff as well as part of the team. So well done. 25 married couples. That's wonderful. This community, the town of Victor overall, our community, and when you look at the investment, we can never always be indebted to the Victor Hiking Trails Group. The amount of trails we have, I think we're probably in the 60-mile range right now. Beautiful Victor Central Schools, certainly with the fields up there, the parks, the amenities we have here in the town. We are all about wellness and exercise here, so certainly this is very positive. I don't think anyone would dispute, certainly, the trend now with pickleball, and I've seen it down south in short trips down there, but certainly I think your points about friendships and memories are, that's very valuable. So middle ground, and again, I've listened to a number of speakers here that really in the hamlet that are impacted by the noise and that laughter. We love to hear it, but also it probably wears on folks. We've had a situation that this board made the investment. Again, you mentioned it, Keith. Jerry was certainly an important part. Our rec department got on board, and then coming off of the pandemic, we felt this was a great investment. And we know it was a great investment. It still is today. And so now how do we find middle ground? And I think by doing that, we've been last year 12 hours a day. We cannot continue with 12 hours a day. In fairness to those residents nearby there, we will be looking at a significant reduction in hours. Our goal is to establish hours that will be regardless of the time of the year. Under ideal weather conditions, last year was not uncommon, as I mentioned, to be out, folks playing 12 hours a day. So we anticipate those hours and again, this isn't long-term, what I'm going to convey to you. It's not long-term, but I do ask for patience because things don't happen overnight. This is, again, government as well. I would anticipate those hours would at the very least be cut in half. And I could see them being as low as maybe only 4 hours per day. In addition, we plan to enclose the courts with 8 to 10 feet of fence. We were planning on doing that anyways and actually putting screening up. I actually think, in my own opinion, I think screening is probably a waste of money at this point because I don't think it's really going to be effective. And I think next year we're back here and even more frustrated, and we've lost 12 months of time. So we're going to put up the 8 to 10 foot fence. We're also going to probably put a gate over there as well. We have fencing issues. You're probably saying, why do we need a fence that high? Well, we have one over in Dry Road Park, and these aren't kids climbing these fences. We have adults climbing the fences and utilizing the old the box rink over there that we have. In addition, we are going to have fees for this for both tennis and pickleball use, and these fees are really consistent with what we have in our other parks as well. If folks want to rent I mentioned the box lacrosse rink, I mentioned parks. As far as what's the dollar amount, I know there's on this evening's agenda, there's a resolution regarding that. The fees will be structured for both residential and non-residence use. It is my understanding that Pinnacle charges $40 a month, $10 as a drop-in play, and please tell me if I'm wrong on that. Sound right? Okay, thank you. You'll recall the swimming. If you wanted to go swimming at Victor Central School a number of years ago, probably pre-pandemic, I think it was $5 per person. Brian, is that correct?
Yeah, $2 or $3.
Okay, thank you. So with the full allotments of our court, because my understanding now, I think we could have 32 individuals playing if every court is taken. So at $2 per person, we're at 60, we're looking at, instead of 64, it'd be $60 an hour for residential use. And again, it would be a sign-up type. It's not per person, it's for the group. Correct, Brian? And I'll let Brian speak to this. And $70 for non. As I mentioned, the screening, I think, is a waste of money. We have commissioned Brian to find out. So here's where I think we need to go. And again, that's why I was asking for patience. We have commissioned Brian to find out what an indoor facility with lights, no heat, would cost. I see this as the only way to find the middle ground on this matter is to enclose the structure. By enclosing the courts, we should eliminate the pop-pop sounds. The enclosed courts would allow year-round play and extended hours. It is not our intent to compete with Pinnacle. That's the last thing we want to do is compete with the private sector, but in this scenario, this situation, we feel this is the only proper steps to take. The intention is to minimize the impact of the residents here by the park and allow the continued play of this ever-growing activity. Now, and again, no one around, so it's not like we can call Community X and find out what kind of building did you put around your Pinnacle, because what we've discovered is that there's really, unless you have a Pinnacle, there's not too many places that have enclosed their pickleball courts. And we referenced Canandaigua and the village of Fairport, and I think Bristol Harbor. So we're looking into that. And then if there ever is a day that pickleball is no longer, or tennis for that matter, is no longer a popular sport, how can we reuse this building or continue to use it in other fashion? So that's why it's more than just putting up a pole barn. It's a matter of putting up a building that has multiple uses today, multiple uses certainly for the future as well. Brian, did you want to, was I off base on the?
No, I think you captured everything that we've discussed so far. I just would say that the challenge for us is that one organization has dominated the use of it. And like all of our public facilities, we need to make sure that there's use by all people in our community. And so while there may be a process for reserving it for specific groups' use during the day, I think the challenge for us is we'd still like to be able to have people that aren't represented in one group to stop out and play. So we're going to work through that as a board, as a department, to how we can do that, because obviously new people come to the sport, whether it's tennis or pickleball, and we'd like to be able to offer just drop-in play. It's hard for us to go to the next level when in reality there's not another community right now that is reserving outdoor tennis and pickleball courts. It's typically a drop-in activity. But hearing from both sides, we understand that we have to find this middle ground. And quite frankly, we'll work with the Pickleball Association and the stakeholders on both sides to do that. But we're not abandoning the courts. We're not departing from our practice of encouraging responsible use, but we have to survive as a community, and we have to work together to get to that point.
Anything?
No, that is covered.
So at this point, I'll resume opportunity for members of the public that care to address the board on the comments you just heard from myself, or comments from Brian as well.
Hi, I'm Audrey Gavin. I live at 7284 Highview Trail. I am part of the pickleball club we're talking about. We have never been exclusive. Anybody who comes is welcome to play on the courts. So anybody can walk in on any day, and we do have people who walk in who are not members and play with the group. The other concern that I have, if you're building a pole barn, is being an athlete and being in some facilities that have minimal heat, is you have to be concerned about the floor and people slipping and falling on it when humidity builds up, which is pretty common in a building that isn't heated. So just something to consider, fans or something to keep the air moving so it isn't dangerous to be playing on the floors.
Very good. Great point. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Mark Shaver, 591 Eleanor Road in Victor. And I guess I'm pleased to hear that you put a lot of work into this already, and you're already considering some of the compromises that I was going to ask about tonight, so I'm not going to address that. I guess what I want to address is what I think makes pickleball kind of a special sport and activity, and social activity at that. So what sets pickleball apart from a lot of other sports or activities is it draws people together from all walks of life, meaning male, female, old, young, people with disabilities can play pickleball, and that's rather unique among the sports that I'm aware of, okay? It's a very well-designed sport. For example, it's not much, if any, advantage to be male over female, okay? Men and women compete with each other very, very readily in even playing field in pickleball. It's not much of any disadvantage to be older versus young. It's not an advantage to be tall, really, in pickleball. It's not an advantage to be big and like a linebacker or anything like that. That's what makes it unique. It's not like basketball or football where, height matters, and it's not like basketball where age matters. When I was playing basketball, it was primarily a 50 years and under male sport, occasionally seeing young females in high school or college playing basketball with us guys at the YMCA, but they're already playing basketball in their school. What I never saw was men and women 50 years old playing basketball together at the YMCA or anywhere else. Certainly not men and women 60 and 70 and 80 years old playing basketball together at the YMCA or any sport like that. That's what sets pickleball apart from all the other things, okay? Seniors can play. Example, I'm 70 years old. I retired last spring, and I can't play soccer or basketball anymore due to knee injuries and that sort of stuff. I can't go serious off-road mountain biking anymore because of recent shoulder injuries. But I can play pickleball pretty effectively and at a reasonable competitive recreational level. And it's a good thing because I think my wife was about to kill me if I didn't find something to do now that I'm retired, okay? At any rate, like I said, men and women can play against each other very competitively. Since taking up pickleball, sort of like Keith's story, I'm making a lot of new friends now. I'm getting out more. I'm getting great exercise. And I'm getting along much better with my wife, okay, who's also a pickleball player. All right, so we're talking about a community recreation program, and I guess I just want to point out, I think you mentioned already that it's the fastest growing sport in the U.S. right now. It's going to be around for a while. I don't know if it'll be around for 10 or 20 years. I don't know, but it's certainly the fastest growing sport, and it just makes sense to me that we support that, especially for such a for a sport that draws people together of the whole age range, the whole ability range. It's sort of something about pickleball just levels the playing field, and people of all levels can play for fun. And if you go to either Fisher's or Pinnacle, you do see people of all abilities, of all ages, of all levels, male and female, all genders, playing and having fun. And the other thing is it's a big social gathering now for people to meet. So the rest of what I wanted to say had to do with sort of a plea. Don't just throw us out. Don't just throw us out. Challenge us to make a compromise. Sounds like you're already thinking like that, so I'll just kind of leave it there, okay? I won't address the compromises I was prepared to suggest. I think you're already ahead of us on that, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members of the
Hi, my name is Dulcie Fisher. I live at 7868 Main Street, Fishers. I'm here about the pickleball as well. I live about half a mile from the courts, and I can hear pickleball in my front lawn, even though I'm half a mile away. And one thing I just want to say before I read my statement, it makes me sad to hear comments like we are against, that make it sound like we're against pickleball or we don't support pickleball. I actually love pickleball. My husband and I like to play pickleball. My kids love to play pickleball. It's just an inappropriate location for these courts. Since my husband and I started dating 13 years ago, many times visiting family at our home. We've family owned our home before we did. We bought it in September. We used to walk down to the courts and play tennis just for fun. It's nice to be able to just walk there and play a casual game with my kids. And those days have seemed to be over. The courts are now inundated with pickleball. The parking lot is full. The courts are always being used as soon as the sun is up until the sun is down. So since we bought our home in September, we have not been able to take our kids down to the courts. And hiking through Fishers Park is definitely not as quiet as it used to be. It's frustrating to not be able to use it. It's not a sport to be played in a residential area. I just want people to think about how it would be if you lived right next door to those courts. Would you want your home right next door to the court? It's just a completely inappropriate location for it. How is the sound of pickleball different from someone having a live band in their yard for everyone to hear all day in the daylight hours? How does this impact life for residents and wildlife in the park? You can't walk through Fishers Park anymore being able to listen to sounds of nature. It seems like those things are being sacrificed to access, pickleball. I realize there's an investment in these courts, but it seems like we're still just trying to sink more money into this project instead of moving it to a more appropriate area, a more open space area where it's not in the middle of residents. Why wouldn't we just realize we made a mistake and move on and put it in a more appropriate spot instead of just spending, more money on it? So that's all I wanted to say, I guess. Thanks.
Well, thank you for your comments, and certainly I don't think anyone questions that the folks in the hamlet certainly are all about wellness and exercise as well, whether it's walking, biking. Had historically a very quiet park in the last year. Certainly this has made a significant difference in your lives, and that's why we're trying to find some middle ground. As far as any other additional places, when we, at some point down the road, when we do develop the property we own on Brace Road, certainly to be consideration for an additional pickleball court. That one will be certainly, hopefully, away from neighborhoods as well. So, thank you for your comments, though. Any other members of the public?
Evening, how you doing? My name is Michael Gavin. I live at 7284 Highview Trail. My wife and I have not been divorced because of pickleball. It's actually brought us closer, as long as we don't play next to each other. I want to thank the board for building the courts, and also Mark, great job, your guys. I mean, they've worked with Jerry and everybody, and it's been wonderful. I moved here 10 years ago, was pulled here because of 3 grandkids that live in Victor. I taught school in West Seneca for 30-some years. I have a bad ankle. I played volleyball. My wife and I both play senior volleyball at the senior games, the national senior games, and also the Huntsman games out in St. George, Utah. I have not been able to do that because I have an ankle injury, and I've been able to play pickleball now, and it's been good for me to get out. It's been good for my mental health and also my physical health. All I could say is that I really think a compromise is what we need. We can't be like the Ukraine and Russia, you know? We gotta compromise a little bit here. We have to see both sides, and I understand totally. If I lived there, I understand, but, you know, maybe 4-6 hours a day in the morning, you know, from 9 to noon or something. A lot of these people are on a fixed income, though, that play there. I just want to let you know that, too, as far as money. So be careful with that, too, as far as, none of us are making any more money, Social Security, inflation going up, et cetera. Just, be aware of that. Maybe make senior citizens a little bit cheaper or something like that. The only other thing is that just, I know you guys, it's a tough decision, and it's not easy. I really think the people I've met here, you can see these people. I used to volunteer at Serenity House, I volunteer at the Swap Shop, and I just want to know that I've grown to like Victor, and I didn't think I was going to, because I came from Buffalo. I grew up in West Seneca, and I wasn't crazy about coming there after 55 years of my life in West Seneca for living there. And these people have really become family in a lot of ways. And the interesting thing about it, it's like the old Cracker Barrel, at the Cracker Barrel, the shop in the old general store. We can sit down, we can talk about everything, we can agree to disagree. Politics, we're not always on the same side, but it's more than just pickleball. It's more than just, the physical. It's the mental, it's the psychological. These people are, really good friends of me. We've had parties at our house. We've tried to keep them quiet, but, hopefully the police haven't been there yet, except one time, but that's another story. But what I'd like to say is that, there's a lot of people here really enjoy the sport and enjoy the camaraderie, that we get when we come and play. So, God bless you all, and I do feel for you. I wish the best for you. I hope that we can come to some kind of compromise, and that's what I'd like to say. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
I do have a question, since you
Yes, sir.
gave us new information about the fee structure.
I should have talked before you did.
Yeah, I just,
How much time does Keith have left? Can he continue on his 3 minutes?
257, 256.
we do have a question about that. It
Go ahead,
says
sir.
$60. How does that work? I mean, we are a loose
Group.
organization. We're a 503. We're a
I'll let you answer.
3C. We're a not-for-profit organization. And my question is, are we charging people to come to Dryer Road Park when they bring their bikes there to go and use the trails?
Not my knowledge.
Then why are we charging people to come and drop in pickleball?
One expects us to serve it just for them. Because other town that I know, we want to reserve it for just your use.
Well, it's not just for our use. They're coming from all over the place.
But it's for
Who takes care of the fees?
for your organization.
Who takes care of the fees?
501c3 has no bearing.
We have no money to pay for any kind of
You
stuff.
certainly could have members raise that money to pay for it.
So we now have to raise money to use public facilities that I've already paid for as a taxpayer.
It's
I don't understand.
It's the same with Victor Municipal Park, Mary Bluebird, Haven, we rent it, you have to pay for it.
Have we ever charged people to come and use the pickleball or tennis courts there?
No.
But we're going to do that now.
The transfer station,
I'll turn in our 501c. We are no longer an organization. How do these people get to use those courts then? Can you tell me
we'd
that?
rather not go to the expense of having someone, our auditors always They don't like the fact that we have people taking cash, so we don't want to have someone there doing cash. So we thought we'd have the same type of sign-ups. We may have to go, if that's the case, Keith, then we'll have to go to something like we have with the transfer station, where people have to buy a punch card, that type of scenario.
And then who would check the punch card and punch it?
We'd have, just like we have over here when people bring their transfer, we'd have to have staff. We'd have to have additional costs, having someone there monitoring that this individual is paid.
Is he getting $60 an hour to be there?
No.
Keith, might I interject? I mean, we talked about $60 an hour because we felt that it was in line with what is used at our other facilities. We have to come to some way to control one organization, a private organization that we don't govern the communication on, use and domination of one facility that's become a challenge for other people that live near that facility. This is one idea that we've come up with as a way to mitigate the issue of either one group wanting the courts going away or another group that wants to continue to use the courts at their discretion.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. Right?
So, you want me to say who I am again, or no? You're good. I'm Audrey Gavin. I live at 7284 Highview Trail in Victor. I think there's a misperception that we are a more structured group than we are. The point of the group is to manage, so there aren't so many people at any one facility. We have people going to Pinnacle, we have people going over to Mendon, we have people going over to Thornell. So it's a method for people to understand where people are playing pickleball. It is not intended to manage anything. We don't manage anything. People show or don't show. They just sign in and say, I'm going to this. People can look, there's people at Thornell, I can go to Thornell. There's people at Pinnacle, I can go to Pinnacle. There's people at Fishers, we can go to Fishers. There's people over in Mendon, we can go to Mendon. So there is no structure for us in this. The only point of the organization was to make sure we weren't overly populating one facility. That's the point of it. The 300 and some people come from all over Western New York because we have such great competition, camaraderie, all of that feeds into, all of that feeds into why there are so many people. So,
So I have a question.
Yes.
If that's the case, why did you create a 501c3 entity?
I don't know, you have to ask Keith that.
What's that?
Why did we create a 501c?
It was created originally by Dick McDermott.
Okay.
It's Farmington Victor Pickleball Association. And one of the reasons why it was done is to protect the officers from any kind of catastrophic accident that occurred. We would then declare bankruptcy, and as long as there was no negligent, that would be it. It would protect the officers, the people that are helping to organize things. That's why we became a 501c.
So you have an entity that has officers?
I'm kind of the president, but that's because Dick McDermott didn't want to be the president. He asked me to put my name on the bank account and the papers that we filed with our 501c.
Mr. Shields, could you come up just because they can't hear on the video stream?
That's why we came up with it, to protect the officers in the group. And it's a very loose organization. It's not we meet as an organization once a month. We just meet and play pickleball. And we keep track of attendance, so we can come and tell people that we have this much attendance, and therefore we can negotiate with Pinnacle to lower it from $20 for drop-in fee down to $10, because we're going to bring him more business. And we've done the same thing with you guys. We brought people to use your facilities by us being there.
So You do have a level of management. You are managing your organization.
I use an app called Team Reach that people sign up for, and then they say, yes, I'm going to play at Mendon, I'm going to play at Fishers, I'm going to play at Pinnacle. And that way other people know, hey, there's going to be 7 people here today, and I would like to play with those people. That's why we have the app, is so that people can see who's playing that day, where they're playing, and how many people are going to be there. Some people drive from Phelps to come here, and we don't want them driving from Phelps if there's only one person that shows up at the facility. So that's one reason why we did it, to protect the people that have to travel 15 minutes from Farmington to get here, and they arrive and nobody's at the courts. That's why we have that part of it. But we can do away with all that and just drop in. You know, that if that's what you want us to do, I think $60 is ridiculous, to tell you the honest to goodness truth. I understand why you're doing it. You're trying to reduce our numbers. You're also trying to discourage us from playing at Fishers Park, which I understand the noise issue. But I see you're trying to mitigate that by having acoustical fencing, which will reduce the decibel count. By the way, what is the noise tolerance? I saw one place where it was 90 decibels. And I think when Larry showed me what our decibels were, we were in the 70s and 80s. We were not over the 90 or the 115 decibels that some communities have used as a noise problem. I agree with the continuous play being, or continuous noise. We agree with not, we could agree with saying only 3 hours of pickleball in the morning, 8 to 11 or 8 to 12. Yeah, but we've got people that play in the afternoon because they work during the day. And when they're done with school or they're done with their business, they want to come and play pickleball at that court. So I understand that too, but I don't want to throw them under the bus. That's why we opened up afternoon hours and told people to sign in if you'd like to play with them. I had a request, could you add afternoon hours so that we can know who's showing up? That's all it is. We're not, you know, I'll resign as the president and we'll do away with the 501c. If we're considered to be an organization, we're not. We're a bunch of people that like to play pickleball. You know, it doesn't matter if we're an organization or not. So we've created a monster by trying to help people know who's playing and what times and where. So that's where we're at right now. You know, I don't know. The group would have to decide whether they're willing to do that, to pay a $60 fee when maybe only 12 of them are going to be there that day. And we've had days where we've only had 12 people, not 32. Our busy days are from 9 to 11 in the morning. That's when our most numbers come. And then some of them leave after they're 8 to 10. Some of them don't come until 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. But see, that's where we're at right now. And I just think it's pretty unfair that we will charge some people but not other people for the use of facilities in this town. I feel that that's wrong. Enough said.
Well, Keith, I've seen you play pickleball, and you're very good at that, but you're a darn good president, too, so.
I'd like to just say,
Hang on, let's turn his mic on.
in response to Keith's statement, our goal is to have a blend of hours that meet folks' needs, because we want you to feel welcome there. But we don't have the ability to have a blend of hours if it's consistently from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., which it started as 8 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday, then the weekend started to grow, then up until mid to late summer, there wasn't even the 3 to 9 o'clock play, to my knowledge, just up the hill going on, and I was down there a lot. I think it became unbearable. I'm not speaking for Carol and Larry, but based on their comments in the past, it became unbearable for the neighbors when it started at 8 and it went continuously all the way until 8:30, 9 o'clock. I personally did witness people standing around talking well after dark, which happens with mountain bikers at Dry Road Park, in full disclosure. Our goal is to find a balance here, okay? Like we always have tried to find a balance here as a Parks and Recreation Department amid the rapid growth in this community. And so this is just to encourage continued dialogue. We'll come up with a schedule. I'm sure we'll talk. I'm sure we'll discuss fees. But this is an effort to keep people at the table and not throw one group's interests out and another's gets hurt.
Hello. My name's Carol Fisher. I live at 632 Wangum Road in Fishers. Okay, you people on the board know I have been here a lot, and I have always been very organized in what I'm going to say. I am not, tonight, organized at all. I do have a statement from one of my neighbors, which I will read part of, because I'm trying to stay under the 3-minute thing. But I'm going to try to hit a couple things that Keith mentioned. When he mentions, like, sometimes there's only 12 there. I don't think I've ever seen 12 there. It always seems to be way more than 12 people there. And he mentions, which is very interesting, that they have some sort of app thing to say that they're going to go over to Mendon or they're going to go to Thornell Road. Wow, those facilities must not get as much use as Fishers because we are packed at Fishers, so I don't know who's going over to those other places. Let's see, was there anything else down here? Oh, I do think it was very interesting when Keith mentioned like 347 people in his group. I am sure that's true, and that's exactly the point I have made here many, many times, that this sport is huge, and it's only going to grow, and you need facilities all over the place, and I don't think Fishers can handle it. Way more facilities are needed. Now, I will say one last thing, and then I will read part of what my neighbor had here. When Keith mentioned that we kind of go way back, it is the truth. He was, all right, and I am not going to cry, he was our kids' coach forever. And he mentioned that he was their varsity coach. And they won a lot of sectionals. But besides that, you have to understand that he also taught them lifeguarding, water safety instruction. They worked for him in the summertime on Parks and Rec. And you have to realize they started with him when they were 3 years old in the TOTS program. So we go way back, and I have so much admiration for that man. So this is really hard. Okay, that being said, so this is from my neighbor, and I'll only read part of it. This is from Tim Kinsella, and he lives up the road from me, and this was he wrote this on the 17th. All right, my name is Tim Kinsella. My wife Carol and I live at 670 Wangum Road, about 400 and 500 feet south of the tennis pickleball courts in Fishers. We have lived there for about 35 years. For years, we have enjoyed Fishers Town Park, walking, skiing, snowshoeing, biking, and just relaxing. And that was until last summer, when one of the Victor residents decided it was a good idea to change the tennis courts to pickleball. I'm not sure how this process changed them. I'm not sure how the idea accomplished since there was nothing posted in the paper about it. Since that fateful day, it has been hell with puck, 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 and cheering for a successful shot. The day begins at 7:15 in the morning when this resident arrives in his red pickup truck to procure the courts for the rest of the Victor Farmington Pickleball Club. The rest of the players begin to arrive about 8, and then it's constant from then on for the remainder of the day, sometimes until 8 p.m. or later. At times, there are 30 or 40 cars in the expanded parking lot, and when it becomes full, they park on both sides of the road, creating a hazard for the black trucks from Domini and the construction trucks from Pooler trying to get to their destinations. I do not blame the players for this racket, as they are just trying to have some exercise and camaraderie. They play for 1 to 3 hours and then they go home to their peace and quiet, while we, the residents, have to listen to the next group that starts their 1 to 3 hours of puck, puck, puck. And that's where I will end it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other members of the public?
Hi, I'm Carol Zimmerman, and I live on Fowler Street, so I'm kind of, whatever. My kids also have been coached by Keith Shields, thank you very much. And I have to say, a few years ago when pickleball first started, actually before the new courts got in, and COVID was starting, and I was working from home, and I would sit out on my back deck at 7 or 7:30, and in the morning, and be like, wow, they're over there playing pickleball, how cool is that? And I would see all these elderly people, which I'm getting there myself, playing pickleball, and other people would come in, and they would all seem to be enjoying it and laughing, and it was so nice because everybody else was kind of hiding or not being near each other because of COVID. And that was great until it started to get to be like all day long, as we've all heard. Now it's just kind of annoying, and we hear it constantly, so I can't even go outside without hearing it. I really appreciate the fact that pickleball is a great sport, and I know it's a good thing. I know a lot of people that can't play other sports can definitely play it, which is awesome. Very, very cool sport. I just would really like to limit the time, and I appreciate that you guys are really trying very hard to compromise with a way of either decreasing hours or however. I understand that probably they're never going to go away, the courts, at this point, because they kind of got snuck in there when we weren't looking. However, maybe as you guys have been doing already, a compromise of some kind so that we don't have to listen to that all day long. In the summer, all summer, 7 a.m., they say 8, but it's 7 a.m. There's people over there bouncing balls. Again, I like it for a little while, but then after a while it gets really old. I also need to read a brief paragraph from another neighbor that was not able to be here tonight, and then I'll end, I promise. If it is the Victor Farmington Pickleball Club, what is Farmington's contribution? And are there really no tennis courts in Farmington? Victor Farmington events should be held at a site financed by Victor in Farmington. There are 6 tennis courts at Victor Central High School and Street Campus. The town and school districts are financed by taxpayers. One should not be using the other to generate revenue. I'm not sure that any of you understand what a detriment it is to our quality of life and our property values. The pock, pock, pock is not just annoying. I can hear it from everywhere on my property. Between the play, the hooting, and the hollering, we have to raise our voices to talk when on the back porch. I can't escape it by going out for a hike because it's even worse there. Honestly, I don't know how Larry and Carol stand it. Please rein this in via reservation system, allowed prohibited hours, and or other limiting pickleball use. I fear it will only get worse, and that's Linda Dunsmore, who is also on Fowler Street. Again, I certainly would love to have pickleball be a big part of our community. I think it's a wonderful sport. But I just hope we can kind of come to a nice compromise and either get more courts so that we can spread out the wealth or somehow make it a little easier for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I want to say something while I'm thinking of it, and I'll ramble for a little bit. I know I'm not restricted to 3 minutes, but what we have is a great problem. I mean, I've known Keith for going on 50 years, and he was a teacher of mine, and then we were colleagues for 30 years. and I have tremendous respect and admiration, and this is just another example of Keith Shields not doing anything half-assed, as far as encouraging people to play and working with Jerry and Chauncey and bringing those courts to fruition during a time when we needed to have some social interaction and being outside and all of that. So what we're sitting with is what we thought was going to be a good thing, and as you just said, it was great when you first heard the park being used, and now it's turned into sunrise to sunset. And if it was next door to any of our houses, we wouldn't want it. So we understand the plight that the hamlet, the Fishers, and the folks are over there. So we're wrestling with having a park that we like, that we love, that we want to use, and really, I think, Keith, you and Brian and Jerry can probably make some headroad. It's not really about the fee as much as it is about the control, as it is about limiting. Because here's the problem. All right, we're going to have the park open 4 hours a day. Then it's locked. Then she can't go over and play tennis with her kids in the afternoon because it's locked with a 10-foot fence. It's not open on a Saturday. Maybe it's only open for 4 hours on a Sunday. So the Fishers' kids come home and they want to go down and hit some tennis balls around. Or I want to go over and maybe start to play a little pickleball on a Sunday. Jane and I want to go over there. It's locked. Can't. We're not in the group yet, but Ian keeps nagging me to come out and play, and I've been out a few times. But I'm chasing 12 grandkids around right now. So that's the dilemma, right? The dilemma is how do we get that balance of still being able to use that park for our residents for other things besides pickleball. And I know that we're not inclusive or we don't exclude anybody. I know how welcoming that group is. Anybody can drop over there 24/7. But because it went from 12 to 347, people want to hang with Keith Shields and Jerry Collier and Chauncey Young, right? And so what happens is that's a credit to you and your group. And I understand the 501 thing as far as protecting yourself because you're a smart guy and you realized, hey, I don't want to get overexposed with a liability issue. I understand that. So I think the issue or the action that's going to have to take place, because we've made a commitment over there. We've said that their pickleball courts are not going away. If anything, they'll continue to expand. There's 8 tennis courts up at Victor Central School, which we can't use between 7 and 7 o'clock at night. Why? Because the kids are using them, the students are using them, the school teams are using them. So we get that. There's a couple of parks over there, and I completely understand the social networking that you don't want the guy coming from Phelps and he shows up and there's only one person there. And you're paying a $2 drop-in and maybe you only have 20 people show up for the first hour. So I think it's a dialogue that needs to keep going on, and it needs to happen quickly because we've had people over there trying to shovel off the snow, which is not what we want to have happen, because we've put money into those courts and setting those up. But there's got to be a way of limiting play, still having that park accessible for all the other things and all the other benefits that we want, and to continue to make it a place where people want to come and play and live and do that. So I think the challenge to you and your group is to figure out how do we manage it? How do we keep it? Obviously it's an honor system, but guess what? The guy that's working 9 to 5, now he's been excluded because it's going to be locked at 5 o'clock at night. And those residents are entitled to have some quiet and not hear the puck, puck, puck from sunrise to sunset, because I'll tell you right now, if it's not locked, what do they say? If you build it, they will come. So if it's not locked and if it's not shut down for certain portions of the day, the Fishers and the folks in the hamlet will not get any relief from the puck, puck, puck. So, that's our challenge, right? Our challenge is to find that balance. That's all I have to say about it right now.
You did go over in your 3 minutes, but...
Sorry.
Are there any other members of the public who care to address the town board?
If I could, Jack, take
certainly,
just a minute.
Councilman.
Dave said most everything that needs to be said as far as a board, but to me, this is Victor being Victor. Just like everything that's ever happened in this town, I'm a lifer, Dave, everybody is. We start something and we have passionate people and they grab hold of something and they build it into something unbelievable, not just pickleball. Our school system, our Parks and Rec that now is built to one of the showcases in all the area that was nothing that Keith, you were involved with in Idaho and started going door to door a long time ago. Everything we've ever touched has done this, but nothing has taken on the scope and the speed that pickleball has and caught us off guard. Two guys, Jerry Collier. I heard a guy in Clayton stops me on the street talking about, he's from Pittsburgh, talking about playing pickleball in Victor, and he called Jerry Collier the commandant and Keith Shields the director, you know. Everything Keith has ever done, and I knew him long before he put that 30 pounds on that he took back off again, he's touched and put his hands on, has had success. So this is ballooned to a point that's, in this one particular geographic location, we've outgrown it. We know that. We have to make it fair to everybody. We have to get on board, and there has to be more dialogue because, you know, I'm only one vote, but we need an additional area. We need to do what we have to take. We have to get your help and everybody else's help to see what, you know, what do the other towns that are in there, how do they fund it? What do they do? What's the cost to go there versus what Pinnacle charges? Barrington, all of them. How do we make something good for the taxpayers, but how many of those 360 people are coming from Phelps and Pittsford and around Coy and other places because, you know, it's the destination spot. I think we probably have more play than all those places together because I think our place is the best. You're too damn good at what you do, Keith. I don't know what to do about that part of it. I just know that as a board we commit to maintaining the dialogue. We have the best Parks and Rec director that there is, and we have people that care. So whatever that happy medium might be, we all have to jump in and add something to it. There's a piece that everybody has to jump in. There's just passion. The whole room is full of passion to make something work, and so with your help, you know, I'm fully with you, no matter if it's a 501c and not a 501c, what the fees need to be, where we need to expand it, where we can build it. I'm all for it, and I applaud your passion for what you do. And you know,
Thank you. And what I would present or recommend to the board this evening, as I mentioned, there's a resolution. It's resolution number 9, amend the fee schedule. So what I would ask the board to do was actually, because of, it'll be spring before we know it, and I know Brian's getting requests from organizations looking for the use of fields, or various parks, pavilions, whatnot. So what I would request that the board do is actually remove the tennis/pickleball courts fees and just take action on the rest of the balance of the fee schedule, which for your purposes would mean that we would be leaving here tonight with no cost for the fee court use. But certainly, I think with your input and some research that I'm sure Brian will do, and board input, we'll continue to revisit this as we move forward. So,
Well, I would offer a counter to that. From the standpoint, Keith made the point that if they dissolve and you use it as a social network, but you're not a 501(c), you could still do the social networking that you're doing. You could avoid the fees because you're not an organized group, quote unquote organized group. I'm just talking off the top here. And then the fee stays in there because Dave Condon's having a family reunion and he wants to rent that thing and he wants to lock it up and he wants his family over there for an hour or 2 hours, just like he would want to rent the gym. I mean, I don't know. Brian, thoughts? So you don't ever rent out the...
Typically, a homeowner doesn't have the adequate insurance
Okay.
to protect the town and also pick up liability. Nor would I advise you to do that.
To dissolve.
No, to have to reserve the facility. 'Cause, you know, if you have a homeowner that doesn't have the adequate insurance to protect the town and also pick up liability. Nor would I advise you to do that. No, to have to reserve the facility. 'Cause, you know, if you have a homeowner that doesn't have the adequate insurance to protect the town and also pick up liability. Nor would I advise you to do that.
Yeah. So you think you're better off taking that off the resolution then?
I think at this time, until we can come up with a schedule and hours that reduce the impact on both sides, that we should table the fee.
Okay. Respect. that.
Because quite frankly, the amended hours might not meet the needs of the entire group.
Right. Right. Okay.
When you say table, I'm tabling that fee only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm Cindy Whitcomb. I live at 1538 State Route 444 in Victor. There's a compromise that nobody's brought up. There are balls that we could use that make no sound at all. So would that work? It would get rid of the puck, puck, puck noise. If the group switched to using those, I don't know, they're foam balls or something, they work just about as well as the little wiffle ball ones. If we use different balls that didn't make that noise, that might be a compromise that that would work for everybody. I don't think we could say we're not going to yell or say, "Yay, good job." I mean, there'll still be that noise, but there won't be that puck, puck, puck annoying sound for people. So I'm just putting that out there. We could buy different balls to use at that court, and if other people came in and they didn't have those special balls, there would still be the noise, but it wouldn't be all day, every day.
Thank you.
Supervisor, I just have one question. Mr. Shields, of the 347 approximate members, do you have an idea of how many are residents of the town of Victor?
I did a poll before we came here, and I only had about 90 people reply to the poll out of 347. And there were 39 town residents, and there were 60 some odd residents or non-residents.
All right, thank you.
Last call. Any other members of the public? Okay. That said, okay, board members, you have the reports of town officials in your packets, starting with the highway superintendent. And if you read his report, you can just tell, it really gives you when you talk about the cost of used vehicles. So we take a 2016 Ford 150, sold at auction at $28,100, and you purchase it for $33,000. So,
Costs us $1,000 a year.
well, can you come up with a few more like that, Mark? Okay, keep it going. We like that. And then the 2015 did very good. Well done. Okay, what else do we have? IT report. Brian, we want to, I know Councilman Condon and I met with you and school officials. Unfortunately, the assistant superintendent of business was unavailable the day we met. You did meet with him, and you came up with a very nice fee for utilization of the school. I know the aquatic center, is that still kind of on hold?
Yes, yeah, I still haven't heard back as far as
Yeah. Steve, thank you.
I got the look from Susie just now. I apologize, Susie. Right now, it's in the brochure. We can remove that. The district, last time I talked to them, they were waiting for another quote on the maintenance of the pole. I'll touch base with the athletic director, Dewey Weimer, in the morning and see if they've gotten some clarification on if we are going to have access to a pool. Right now, we have a placeholder in there for a 1-week program, which we may be able to facilitate around their improvements to the pool, but I'll know more. I'm about 3 weeks ahead of schedule on the brochure turnaround, so I've got time.
I think I talked to Dewey this week about it, and I think that we're probably not going to have access to it, but, I mean, you'll confirm that.
Sure.
My question to you is, if we only get it for a week, is it worth it to do it for a week?
I think based on the residents' concerns about not having swim lessons last year, I think if we can perhaps get a 1-week program in there, it'd be advisable. The other thing it does for us, allows us to start rebuilding our lifeguard crew. That's one of the biggest challenges, if not the biggest challenge that's facing our department this summer, is just rebuilding a 120-member part-time staff.
Yeah.
Very good. Steve, thanks for closing the door. I just want to mention Steve. So Steve, actually, his second year in a row, he was named on the Rochester Business Journal's Power 100. 100 individuals within our region that make a difference every day, and we just saw it firsthand when you closed the doors here. So, Steve, they asked for,
Keep up the good
Jack,
work.
yeah, Jack, what's your thoughts on Steve? I'll tell you, it closes a real quiet door here. So, Steve, congratulations in all honesty. A couple quick things, real quick. A couple of letters of thank you for our town employees for the Dress Down Day donations that they make. One of the letters was from Pet Pride, and the other was from Friends of Ganonigan. And then this past week, Councilman Condon and Councilman Cusimano joined myself, and we recognized 13 town employees who had totaled 180 years of service to our town residents as employees here. So it was an awful nice recognition. Thank you both for making time in your busy days. In addition, I was notified by the state of New York that the Victor Travel Plaza on Aldrich Road, you know, when you travel the Thruway, many of them are closing. This one will be closing on June the 1st and set to reopen sometime in January of 2023. So, okay, moving to the, excuse me, before we do that, board members, you have any committees you'd care to report on? Karen, I think you have a question regarding a state liquor authority license?
Yes, I believe you each got a copy of the referral for a liquor license for the Homewood Suites, and this is due to new ownership. It's been sold, so do you have any objections to
No
that?
objection.
No objection.
None.
Okay.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, moving to the resolutions, starting with resolutions number 1.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 2 is the annual agreement with ESI for employment services for our assistance program for our employees.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 3 is a request for certificate of liability insurance. And again, these are a couple events.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 4 is an agreement with Matthew Paris for Soul Express.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 5 is an agreement with Melissa McCabe for running instruction programs for our Parks and Rec Department.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 6.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And number 7, purchase of flowers and plant materials. And in this resolution, it identifies the many areas where these flowers will take place. Brian, I do have one question. We have now some responsibility, I think, up here at the roundabout on Lina and Route 96. Do we have some town responsibilities?
Yeah, we have responsibility for the maintenance of the Splitter Island as well as the roundabout and the hillside.
Your mic went out.
I'd really rather come to the podium if I could in the future. Yeah, we have responsibility for maintenance and care of the Splitter Island, the roundabout, landscaping, as well as the hillside adjacent to the driveway, unless You're seeing it different in my
I think
hearing?
we took the hillside, it was the wall.
Not the big hillside.
And the fence,
Okay,
that,
the
yeah.
smaller.
The small hillside where the evergreens are planted, yeah, so we're mowing that hillside there. We're not identifying flowers or plant material for that area.
Okay.
In this year's budget, there's some discussion that we're having with the village about possibly moving the existing sign, and we might incorporate a flower design into that next year.
Thank you.
Yep.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 8 is rejecting the bids for pump station number 11, and I did put at your place settings, I left a timeline. Upon the rejection of this bid, we will move to bid out pump stations 5, 7, and 11 as a bundle, and there's a timeline I provided you with as well.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And number 9, again, let's remove the tennis/pickleball courts fees, and we'll do some further research and decide where we go from here. I do want to thank all of you for your comments during the, public comment. There's not a win-win for anyone here, so, but thank you all. So on this amended fee schedule, again, extracting that, Karen, okay? Motion to approve, board members?
So moved.
Second.
I have let's vote on it, then I have a comment I want to make.
Okay. You want to make it before?
No, we can.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I just wanted to talk about just put something out there as far as a bug about fees in general, right? And I think that we need to look at fees, and Brian and I have talked about that, and I'm talking in terms of, if we're getting charged by Victor Central School fees to use their facilities, then I believe they should be paying fees to bring their mountain biking phys ed class down to Dryer Road Park, because we're maintaining those facilities. I'm going to talk to the Boughton Park Commission about maybe the Victor Central School needs to pay something when they bring out those kids to the park to kayak and canoe and use that park, because half of those kids that are coming out there are Farmington residents, or Macedon, or Canandaigua, but they might not be all Victor residents. And I just think that, I understand Keith's point about going easy on the seniors. I get that. And I feel that way with the recycling. I think, you go easy on the seniors, but I think the rest of us that are working, I think they can pay a little bit more. And I don't want to, I feel bad, because if we built it, are we paying for it twice? But on the same token, there are costs associated with maintaining it and policing it and all of that. And I just think that if they're going to be setting up a fee structure, which they shared with us when we met with Terra Nova and Derek, then I think that we should be leaning along those lines too as we move forward. And I think people appreciate paying a little bit more every year than getting hit with a big fee, down the road, like when we doubled the recycling and stuff like that. I think there's been no pushback by the extra $10 this year on the recycling, the punch card going up. There's no pushback on it, because they anticipate it with rising costs and waste costs and all of that, and the same thing. I mean, I heard today Target is raising their minimum, I think I heard $24 an hour, Target employees. So that's going to have a rippling effect through a lot of different communities. So.
I know, now you got Brian frightened, because we have a meeting later this week, right? We're struggling to get staff for the summer programs. I think, I could see a new calling. Listen, I'll share this because Councilman Condon heard this, and Councilman Cusimano, and I know Rich did, and Karen did the other day. So at the employee luncheon, so recently I thought I'd be a little high-tech, and I was going away with the wife. I said, maybe I'd call for Uber, okay? So I went to see Kathy Rayburn. She said, oh, Jack, it's real easy, just do this. Okay, so I went back to the office, I started playing it. Next thing you know, they said, what's your license plate on your car? I said, what the hell? And I looked, I had just signed up to be a driver. So, where's Jack? He's out making an Uber call right now. Oh, well. Yeah, Brian, I'll be, schedule me on. Okay, number 10, this is ordering a public hearing for the drainage improvement area for the Bluemont. This will be on the 28th of March.
So moved. Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
And the final resolution, letter of credit, Anton Valley subdivision, release number 6.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Public comment, and Susie, I apologize, I never asked you if there was public comment before. There weren't any. There still is none. So since we only have one resident, you can have the mic all by yourself. Oh, I would have looked over my shoulder too, so. With that said, we'll motion for an adjournment then.
Moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So I met one of your neighbors.
Public comment.